I've been a fan of Pokémon for as long as I can remember. I watched the show, played nearly all of the main games, some of the spin-offs, and even a lot of the mobile games like Shuffle, Masters, and Go. Through all of my years of playing and being a fan, through my lifelong obsession I never grew out of, I can safely say that the Pokémon games with the best vibes to me are Pokémon Sword and Shield. Pokémon Sword and Shield first came out a year ago and are generally disliked by a lot of the series' longtime fans. The major complaints include that a lot of the Pokémon were cut and unusable, that the animations are poor, and that the world is very linear and barren. There's not much to explore. While I do agree with these complaints to an extent, I don't really mind them that much for a few specific reasons. The games are very linear, sure, and I wish there were more characters to talk to, more to do and explore, but the game's expansions, the Crown Tundra and the Isle of Armor, really expanded upon that. More on those later, though. The fact that some Pokémon are inaccessible doesn't really bother me, as I like to use a new team in each game, and Pokémon Home really sets the series up for success in that regard. The ability to store and trade all of your Pokémon through either your Switch or your smartphone? That's something I could have only dreamed of as a kid, even though smartphones weren't around yet. And again, the game's expansions really help with that, as hundreds of more Pokémon become available within them. Okay, the graphics and animations definitely could be much better, but there would be hundreds and hundreds of Pokémon to uniquely animate. This would be a massive undertaking, even though the series has a huge budget and is wildly successful. It would just take a lot of time. And besides that, this complaint isn't really unique to Pokémon, it's pretty much the standard for modern JRPGs. What about the Final Fantasy VII remake, huh? That's a modern JRPG.
No escape.
Okay, sure. The graphics in that game are amazing, and it's one of my favorite games of the year, but it's a completely different game from Pokémon. I'd honestly rather the deep, complex systems Pokémon offers over improved graphics if I had to make a choice. Like at this point I could honestly teach a lecture on Pokémon breeding and all the hidden stats if I had to. It's that complex. Okay, all the complaints and negative stuff are out of the way, so I could finally get to why I like the game, and why I really love the atmosphere. In my opinion, the game's world building and characters are the best that the Pokémon series has to offer. Like, let's look at the gym leaders for instance. Instead of appearing as random characters you face once, occasionally with a higher level rematch, they appear many times throughout the series. When you fight them initially, in the game's Champion Cup tournament, which takes the place of the Elite Four, and again in the post-game when you have to fight alongside them. The whole sports and tournament theme of the game really make the gym leaders and the champion all feel like my rivals, more so than in past games, on top of the game's normal rivals like Hop, Marnie, and Bede. This main game alone would have left me satisfied, but the game's two expansions really push it over the edge for me. Both the Isle of Armor and the Crown Tundra add expansive areas to explore, filled with quirky, cute storylines and a ton to discover. They both really add to the game's lore as well, like how Champion Leon trained at the dojo, or how Peony, the explorer, is actually a former gym leader and Chairman Rose's younger brother, despite being nothing alike. On top of that, as a huge roguelike fan, I really love the newly added Dynamax adventures, as bare bones as they may be. They're a ton of fun to go through. That said, my favorite post-release edition absolutely has to be the Galarian Star Tournament. After completing all of the main story, and the storylines for both of the game's expansions, you unlock access to this tournament. Here you fight alongside the gym leaders and your rivals in a very high-leveled 2-on-2 style tournament. This amps up the feeling of your rivals growing with you tenfold, and is a great send-off to the game. I mean, the credits even play after completing it for the first time. This tournament really wraps up Sword and Shield as one complete package. Okay, that about wraps things up. Despite having some problems with the games technically, I think Sword and Shield are the best in terms of world building and memorable characters. If anything, they just make me excited to see what's to come in the series' future.